All right, chapter 2. First off, before I get too far, let me explain that if you are working on chapter 2, or since we are on chapter 2, you cannot do any work on chapter 1 to get caught up unless your chapter 2 is taken care of. So if you are late, if you did not take the test yet on chapter 1, that chapter 1 is locked until you actually get a 50% on the homework today, and then you can go back and do that. So if you are caught up, I would say get to your 50%, and if you need to catch up, go back and do that now, especially if you understand what's going on. But this unit here is going to focus on introducing us to the process of solving equations. I need you to view this as a game that has very simple rules. We're not going to get into tricky questions this time around, but we will focus on helping you develop the proper decision-making skills. So if you think about the following question, x plus 19 equals 85. You've seen solving before in some way or another. There's a whole lot of different ways that it's taught, but the key thing is to make sure you understand what the overall goal is. Our job is to get the variable alone, and so what you're going to be asked is the following questions. So let's just go through them right now. So it's going to say what values with x. Well, if you need to, write it out on a piece of paper and draw a wall through the equal sign. And what you have is x and 19 over here and 85 over there. So the value with x is 19. What operation is being shown? Well, that's a positive 19, and what you will learn is that positive typically means add, and the opposite of addition is subtraction. And so those are the three things you need to be able to ask yourself. You need to be able to identify what values with x. You need to be able to identify what the operation is being shown with that value and their connection, and then determine what the opposite operation is. So when you go to solve this, the general rule is whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. And so if you want to move an addition, we will subtract. So we will put minus 19 here and minus 19 there. X will then come down. 19 and negative 19 goes away. If you want proof, here you go. 19 plus negative 19 equals 0. So it's gone. And then equals, and then whatever 85 minus 19 is. I'm going to go ahead and do long subtraction. Can't do 5 minus 9, so we have to borrow from the 8. That turns into 15. 15 minus 9 is 6. 7 minus 1 is 6. So x equals 66. On your Math XL, you're going to see this. A box here equals, no, I'm sorry, not equals, but a box and a box, and you have another box equals a box. This is where you put your minus 19, minus 19. This is where you'll put your x, that's where you'll put your 66. So pretty much you're taking these parts and putting them into the boxes that are there. I'd say definitely work on practicing putting it on paper, but outside of that, just make sure you copy at least the notes on what I wrote you, so you have something to kind of go through, especially if you're going to ask for help, because if you ask us for help and you don't have any notes to kind of show what you're supposed to go off of, we really cannot help you. So just kind of keep that in mind. Another one, k minus 75 equals 14. What values with k? Again, if necessary, draw a wall through the equal sign. That's how I view the two sides. This is a negative 75, and you have to view it as a negative 75 because there's a minus in front of it. So the connection between negative and minus is the same. It's the same sign typically until you get to a calculator, but I need for you all to make sure you can understand that's a negative 75. What operation is being shown? Well, if that's a negative 75, then we're talking subtraction. And the opposite of subtraction is addition. And so when it comes to doing the work that we're doing here, if you want to get rid of this negative 75, we need to put plus 75 on both sides. K comes down because it's still there. Again, the negative and its opposite goes away. And then to add this, I'll do long addition. 4 and 5 make 9. 1 and 7 make 8. Should be K equals 89 as your answer there. So again, not bad. Just make sure again that you are paying attention to the fundamentals of this. Where some of you might have messed around a little bit and not worked as hard as you could, I would not do that with chapter 2. Chapter 2 has a very distinct personality to where if you work like you're supposed to, you'll pull your grade up easy because this is very easy information. But if you continue to make that bad choice of kind of putting your head down, sleeping, and not working as hard as you can to finish up the homework, it could leave you behind and you might not be able to get out of it. So just make sure you're working to get it, because again, as long as you're working to get it, I think it works out. 61 equals h plus 34. What values with h? Well, first off, again, here's your wall, and here's the trick. H is now on the right side with 34, and so that is the number that's with h is a positive 34. And since it is a positive 34, we are looking at the operation of addition. What's the opposite of addition? And that would be subtraction. So now that we're going to go ahead and get rid of this 34, because again, we want to get the number that's with the variable gone. We don't need to move the 61. Based off of this wall, h can't even see the 61. We need to get h by itself, so 34 has to go, and it's a positive 34, so we will subtract 34 from both sides. Again, you cannot do 1 minus 4, so we must borrow, making 6 into a 5, making this into 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. 5 minus 3 is 2. H comes down, 34 is gone. Remember, again, you will put those numbers into your boxes. Or if you're having an issue, just write the problem down on a piece of paper. And when you ask for help, we can tell you how to take those numbers that are on your paper and put them into the boxes that are there. All right, let's look at one more before we move on. 37 equals e minus 58. The first question is, what value is with e? Again, if e is on the right and negative 58, remember that's a negative 58, is over there, then you need to put a negative 58 is with e. 37, e can't even see it because that's a wall. What operation is being shown? If that's a negative 58 is subtraction. And the opposite of subtraction is addition. And so when you want to move this negative 58 away from e, you will need to use a plus 58 or a positive 58, which is its opposite. When you go to add those up, 7 and 8 make 15, carry the 1, 3, 4, and 5 make 9. And there would be your answer there for that problem. So you are going to be given large values on purpose. This is to keep you from trying to do the problems in your head. I learned that whenever I put something like x plus 2 equals 7, because you know 5 plus 2 equals 7, you already know it, so you really don't want to solve. And in this case, you also need to start getting used to trusting the steps and using your calculator. So if you don't know how to get to your calculator, if you don't know how to use your calculator, let one of us know, or let if there's me and a co-teacher in there, let her know also. But just let somebody know so we can get you where you need to be. There are more problems than the last unit on this homework, but that's because solving is a skill. But also this video is shorter, which means that it should be okay. So just give your best effort this week. And again, even if you did not make it through the first week, the way the numbers work, if you pass this test, you pass test number 3, and you pass test number 4, then whatever you did wrong in chapter 1 is not going to affect you this quarter. So as long as you can pick it up, everything that you missed is not going to affect you. Just make sure you pick it up. So good luck.